Welcome back to Beer Brackets, everybody. As you can see, this is a very special episode. I have 3 drinks in front of me, but not just 3 beers. Alessandro, we have 3 beer cocktails. We decided to start with a certain category of beer cocktail. Of course, if you've been following Beer Brackets, you know that we are extremely big fans of Guinness Draught. So we are going to be tackling Guinness cocktails.
This is going to be great. Like, I don't think I've had any of these. Maybe one I've had before, but I can't remember.
I've had one of these 3 before too, just the black and tans. The first one is a Snakebite, so half cider, half apple cider, half Guinness Draught. The second one's going to be a black and tan, so half lager, half Guinness Draught. And the third one is going to be a special cocktail off the Guinness website called Newly Minted, which is basically a pint of Guinness with a shot of creme de menthe. But also we did a little bit of a twist on it. Instead of just regular Guinness Draught, we're trying it with Guinness Nitro Coffee. We're adding that little coffee element into their recipe. And we're going to see which one of the 3 we prefer and which is our least favorite. I think we should just get started. And let's jump right into the Snakebite.
Let's do it.
Cheers. Oh, I don't know if it's a cider I have or not, but it's like really, really strong on the apple aroma.
Yep, a lot.
I think I got like a really sweet cider. I don't know. So far, this one's not doing it for me. Not so much.
It's definitely heavy on the cider. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I tried to keep the proportion like 50-50, but...
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, there's not much of the Guinness flavor left.
That's the thing, right? Like the cider really overpowers the Guinness. It just tastes like a really apple-y Guinness and apple don't really go together.
This bitter apple.
Your thing. By all means, if you enjoy this, go for it. But so far, not so much for me. And it's, again, maybe it really heavily depends on the type of cider that you choose. I don't think this is so much of a really dry cider that I have. I think mine is really sweet. It's not mixing so well. Not so much at all.
I don't know. I find it brings out like 2 extreme flavors of both, like the bitterness of the Guinness and the apple sweetness in the cider, like, and it kind of like flattens out everything else that there is. So absolutely, I don't know.
Well, there you go. So keep that in mind, Ben. I think let's move on to the black and tan. Usually this is the only one I've tried.
Cheers.
It has been my favorite in the past. Cheers, buddy. Let's see if we prefer this one. I made mine with the traditional way, with harp lager. So keeping it Irish.
Okay. This one was also the only one that I had before.
Okay.
And yeah, this one is definitely more beerish, if you allow me the term. less sweet, it's much for sure. Beerish.
What's interesting about this is I find it kind of it's really good. I find it kind of mutes out a lot of the characteristics from both the lager and the stout.
Definitely.
You taste both. You get sort of like, I guess you could say the best elements of both. They get a little bit of like the roasted barley from the Guinness, the heavy roastiness. And you get like the maltiness of the lager, but they're both kind of muted and quieted it down a little bit.
Definitely toned down, yeah. But there are more elements of both beers in this, I find. Like you said, the roastiness is there. There's a little bit more of that like lager finish, at least for me.
100%.
And cuts away that like classic chocolate from the Guinness. So it's there's interesting things and less interesting things.
So I used the harp lager for this one. Which one did you wind up using?
I used the Kona, left from when we got to hang out here together. Like, and I'd say Konas. It's very neutral in flavor, so it doesn't add a lot of the toasted elements that normally you would find in a lager. At least I don't find.
That's the thing. So. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head with that. Like Kona beers are very light. Very, very, very light. They don't have much taste to them. They're very easygoing. They're very easy to drink, very palatable. So I guess the lager that you choose to mix with this in your black and tan is going to have a huge effect on the outcome, obviously, right? The official recipe from Guinness recommends using harp because that's, of course, their lager. I'd be curious to try this maybe with their Hop House 13 instead. Something a little bit stronger, a little bit hoppier, a little bit maltier. I think it'd go really well with this. But as it is, it's smooth, easy drinking. This is nice.
For sure.
We need to go on to the Newly Minted. Our special Beer Brackets concoction, the Nitro Coffee Newly Minted. Just the smell of this, like that roasted coffee bean aroma.
That's good.
Is just I'm not getting the mint. Are you getting the mint off the aroma straight up?
I am, yeah. It comes across like very gentle. It's there, yeah. No,
Okay.
The coffee, like you said, not too much of the beer or Guinness aroma on this. Is mostly coffee and a little bit of that mint on the edge, at least so far.
Which has to do with the type of Guinness that we chose. I'd be curious to try this with the draft as well one day. But cheers, buddy. I'm excited to drink this one. We might have discovered a new beer secret. Okay. I think we just discovered an epic beer cocktail. This is pretty good.
I would say like it adds definitely a layer of complexity there. The mint, at least for me, comes across like very subtle, so it's not overpowering, which I was a little bit afraid of, like to begin with.
Yeah.
But one thing that I like is that, in a sense, like it brings out a little bit more of the Guinness flavors and tones down the coffee a little bit. I like the coffee, but if I think about it like a cocktail and not as a beer, that makes it like very interesting. I really like it.
I'm just taking another sip here. This is appealing to the mint chocolate lover in me.
Oh, definitely. Like if you like those, like what do they call, like the York mint patties? Like kind of
York
like
peppermint patties. Yeah.
Yes, those are. Yeah, it's very, very, very similar.
Now that we've tried all three, which was your least favorite?
I can answer this pretty quickly because it's the first one we tried, and it's not to be. Right? It's a little bit. Maybe it's a cider, like you said.
Yeah.
But it brings out like a little bit too much of that apple flavor that, like, I don't know. I don't think it binds well. Like at least not for me.
It doesn't bind well. Yes, you hit the nail on the head with that one. It's just they're too separate. They don't mix together. It's supposed to be a beer cocktail. It's supposed to be different elements coming together to form one new magical drink. And in this case, I think they just, even though they're mixed together, they sit a little too separately for my liking. And I'm not a big apple cider fan to begin with. And I was hoping that maybe it would mix with the roasted elements of the Guinness a little bit to create something interesting, but they really just sort of stand apart. As a cocktail, doesn't work for me. What would you say is your second favorite?
It's a tough one. Let me take another little quick sip.
Please.
This is a tough one. I think that my next favorite, it's a close call, but I think it's probably the newly minted one. I don't know if it's because I use like too much of the mint, or if it's because like I don't know, I have the other Guinness in mind. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's something about it, like it now that I took a second sip, like it almost like it doesn't invite me to go back for me. Like there's something that is a little bit overpowering that like it's interesting as a cocktail, but while the black and tan to me still being a mix, it brings out like still beer elements, so it works like.
Yeah, so that we might as well just get into it then. So the black and tan being your favorite is just because you can taste both the elements of the best elements of the lager, the best elements of the stout.
Yes.
Makes perfect sense. This is hard. This is hard for me too. Wait, I'm going to take another sip. It's very, very close, but I think I'm going to go with the black and tan as my number 2 and the newly minted as my number 1. I think I'm going to flip them there as opposed to yours. And I really like them both. The only thing is that the black and tan, I could drink the entire thing so easily. It's very refreshing, really good. What I like about the newly minted is it actually makes me think beer cocktail as opposed to just mixing two beers together. Even though it's just a beer with a liquor in it, it has a little bit more character to it than just some feeling like two beers mixed together. Well, there you go, guys. Let us know down below. Have you tried these 3? Which of the 3 do you prefer? Do you like to make them a little differently? Do you like to put your own little spin on any of these Guinness beer cocktails? Cheers, everybody. Don't forget to close your beer cocktail beer brackets like you see here.
Yeah, never forget. Never forget.
Never forget. Close with a mint, a delicious mint beer cocktail. Open with something with cider in it to get it over with right away, so you don't have to taste it.
Yeah, that's a good advice for everybody.